very practical. I mean, we had a great event for the last 2 days around smart cities, basically, which was not about technology anymore, but it actually was all about ethics, about decision making. And Marcel van Hest over there, he brought in a great debate actually about, hey, when you're an energy industry, example given, and an energy plant goes down, what part of the city will you disconnect first when there's a lack of energy? And normally we would do it basically better at random. Nowadays we can make a choice. So depending on the information you have, you're going to make a decision. Is this economically? So the business district keeps on in a poor neighborhood, we shut off first. Do we pick the neighborhood where the most sick people are, who need their energy? Do we pick the district with most elderly people? Do we pick the district, whatever, where most tourists come and visit us? So for us, this is a totally new world, basically, where decision making is something totally different. And the interesting thing between traditionally gathering data and now big data is that normally we would gather data based on a question.
Before we go, which neighborhood is Amsterdam going to shut down first?
Well, it will be a nice discussion in City Council. No, it is an interesting question, actually, isn't it? I would say at random now, still, basically, but more and more we can make these choices. I mean, obviously we have the same choices with drones, with autonomous vehicles, etc. Actually, my last meeting was with the Ministry of Infrastructure about drones and creating free zones, so I'm happy to talk about it a bit as well. But so it's interesting, and we never thought of these things before, and it's getting even more interesting because normally we were defining these dilemmas and then we would get the data to make our decision. The great thing about having big data is that you can make up the question anytime. Later on, you can distract different...
But that's also the concern, that with big data, you call it a smart city, but Professor Helbing could argue that a smart city is actually on track to be a benevolent dictator. And he says that we should put all the information back in the hands of the people.
Fully agree, absolutely. But still, but then you need a discussion on where's the common benefit and who decides what's the common benefit, who decides what the best. And that's because we go to a society that's based on mutualism, for the most people, which is actually commonly accepted nowadays, to a society where you can make continuously these choices, basically, and beneath of it, the last 20% or 30% actually, well, it's just a number in an Excel sheet, or in a very big table, and then when you put so this is changing very rapidly, and we're not used to make these decisions, because maybe you need to change your decisions this month, next month, the month after. When you political system in Amsterdam is when you, a deputy mayor going back to city council, sorry I said something 4 weeks ago, going to do it differently. It's not the right discussion, because then why did you make this decision? Well, with the information I have right now. And this is changing so rapidly. I think we really need to reinvent. And yesterday at the same conference, even our mayor said, well, this doesn't work for us anymore, because we spent so much time discussing what we could have done in the past and not on how we go to the future, basically. And then how can you leverage on the data that's there? And then it starts, what questions do you ask to the data? And what we're lacking is an ethical discussion, I think, on what's more important, economy, what's life, what's the, how many is it, 100?
It sounds like we like an ethical version of Watson.
Absolutely. And we don't have this discussion. I mean, and you need to program all of the algorithms. Actually, well, that's pretty hard. It's not, oh, let's look at it. No, it's 0 or 1, isn't it? So we need to decide on what district to disconnect in an algorithm, basically. And the computer decides then basically what to shut down first based on what numbers. So this is an interesting, same for healthcare. I mean, when I'm a doctor and I write stuff down about my patients, etc., and I would get, and have a patient, well, let's see, Ger, patient, sick, you became better from the same disease. When I would look at your records, you could make me better, basically. And you said, no, it's my record. So when does the point come that the doctor is allowed to look into your data, basically? And we don't have this discussion at all. So we're still used to a very centralized discussion, second industrial revolution, etc. But when you go to distributed networks, you need to have this discussion all over again, basically. And what's the common denominator, and who decides what is best? And I don't think we have this answer yet.
Okay, great. Just real quick, Professor Helbing, on the dictator scale from 0 to 10, how would you rate the Chief Technology Officer of
No, I think he's pretty much aware of the issues, and
There's electricity in the chair, so I can put a button.
I'm very happy about this. Just the point is, politics, even science, the public hasn't paid much attention to these issues that are now coming up related to the digital revolution, and now it's there. You know, we cannot ignore this anymore. Otherwise, accidents will happen, I believe. So it's good that we have this discussion, and we need to work our way forward, create the platforms that allow people to participate in this decision making. You know, so we would really come up with something that is not decided by very few people and would not work for many others, right?
Okay.
Can I add one more thing to that, basically? One more thing.
Yeah, in 10 seconds?
No, 30. It's also for a city, how do you want to help people, example given? So we haven't talked with banks, basically, for people in poverty. So those banks can prevent what people can start to get into debt. Do you want to use it 6 months before somebody actually gets into problems? Do you want to use this data to help people? And who decides on helping people, basically? I mean, all these discussions. And how do you take these questions in a democracy? So how can you make democracy by design, actually? Which I learned yesterday from Muslim. So how can you create democracy by design in this new world? And nobody's having these discussions yet.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Helbing.